Hi everybody. In this video section we are going to see economic order quantity and its terminology. Before going into the terminology, we will see what is the definition of economic order quantity. So economics order quantity is a particular quantity at which the sum of cost of both the ordering and inventory carrying cost is minimized. Okay, economic. So it should be economic. It should be minimized. So when you are ordering any items, the inventory cost and ordering cost should be minimum. Okay. So here total cost is equal to carrying cost plus procurement cost. So together it is called total cost. So we will see some terminology which we are going to use in economic order quantity topic. Okay. So consumption rate. Consumption rate means it is the rate at which the raw material are consumed. Okay. So if you put in a graph, so the time and level of inventory, the slope is called consumption rate. Okay. The constant consumption rate, if the raw material is consumed at same rate over the same period of time, is called constant consumption rate. So if you purchase the same amount over the same period of time, it is called constant consumption rate. Another one is irregular consumption rate. So there will be a variation in the production which leads to different consumption rate at different time interval. Okay. Say for example, if something is happened in your manufacturing sector, so not able to purchase during that time, so you can postpone to the next month. So that is called irregular consumption rate. Okay. Another topic is replenishment. The process of refilling is called replenishment. Okay, the process of refilling the material as and when it is consumed so that the inventory level is maintained within a range. Okay, that is called replenishment. Here there are three types of replenishment. One is instantaneous, another one is replenishment at constant rate, and replenishment at irregular rate. We will see one by one. Instantaneous replenishment. Okay, refilling is done at one time. Okay, at one instant for the one full lot size. That is called instantaneous replenishment. You are filling your inventory only one time at one instant. Okay. And then second one is replenishment at constant rate. If we refill the used inventory at a constant rate. Okay, usually practiced in industries, especially the one which manufacture its own raw material. It's called a replenishment at constant rate. Third one is replacement at irregular interval. So the inventory is not refilled at regular interval of time. It is called irregular interval. Let us see what is lead time. So far we discussed economic order quantity. In that we used to tell lead time. So what is lead time? So lead time, it is the gap between the starting or otherwise called initiating the process of ordering and receiving the ordering. So the time gap between starting and receiving the order in quantity for your warehouse, it is called lead time. Okay. This is estimated by the past experience. Okay, based on the past experience you can estimate this lead time. It may take 10 days to 20 days, 30 days, is based on your previous business experience. So you can frame this time. Okay, so starting time and receiving the order is called lead time. So lead time include the following category: the time taken to prepare, purchase, requisition and placing the order. So that also it include time taken to prepare your purchasing order or placing the order. The time taken to deliver the purchase order to vendor. Okay. So how many days it reached to the vendor, that also you have to consider. And time taken for the vendor to manufacturing sector. Okay. And the time taken for transportation from vendor place to a store place. So these all the time if you add together you will get lead time. Okay. So ordering time, and it reach to the vendor, and from vendor to the manufacturing center, and from vendor to your store. Okay, this if you add, that is add this time, so it may takes 10 days, 12 days, based on your based on your business. Okay, that is called lead time. So time gap between starting and receiving the order to your store, it's called lead time. The next one is reorder point, ROP. So this is the point which indicate that it is high time we place the order, failing which the stocks may get exhausted. So reorder point is equal to lead time minus predicted point of exhaustion. Say for example, if we order once in every 10 days and the lead time is 3 days, then your reorder point is 10 minus 3. Okay, 10 minus 3 is equal to 7 days. So this is called reorder point, when you have to reorder. Okay, that is called a reorder point. So the 7th day you have to reorder your product, so it will reach to the company the 10th day. Okay, so the reorder point is lead time minus predicted point of exhaustion time, so it is called a reorder point. Okay, the next is lead time analysis. So lead time, it depends on the urgency or importance of the components in the manufacturing process. So the second one is reliability of the vendor. Another one is reserve stocks. Okay, reserve stocks is otherwise called safety stocks, otherwise it's called buffer stocks. Okay, so certain amount of quantity of product you have to keep it in, you have to keep as a buffer stock. Okay, to guard against disturbance of production process, either due to uncertainties in consumption rate or lead time, some extra stock is maintained. It serves the purpose of minimizing the chance of running out of stock. So this is the advantage of buffer stocks. Okay, it minimizes the chance of running out of stock. So it should not be very less or excess, it should not be very more also. Okay, so this is lead time advantage. The safety stocks comes to play when there is an excess rejection or wastage in production process than normal work. Okay, so the rejection at the time of receipt due to poor production quality by vendor, or it may be damage to raw material. So if anything is happened in the company, you have to keep some extra stock, you have to maintain some extra stock. Okay, so in order to minimize the running out of the stock. So safety stocks comes to play when there is any excess rejection or wastage in production than normal. Say if some rejection is happened in the production department, or some wastage is happened in the production department compared with normal routine business, so that time safety stock is important. Okay, and if you get any poor quality product, raw material from the vendor, then you can reject that product, and you can reorder again. Okay, so until that you have to maintain some stock level. Okay, say if your raw material is damages or raw material is absolute, so you have to reorder from some other vendor, you have to search for supplier. Okay, for that particular period you have to do your production process continuously without any disturbance. So for that purpose you have to maintain some extra stock. Okay, that is called safety stocks. Okay, next one is factor of uncertainty. So uncertainty is the main reason for having safety stock. Okay, I said no, unforeseen may happen. Okay, maybe uncertainty of demand or delivery time or the quantity of raw material. So this and all is happened. So to maintain the successful business, smooth conduction of business, you have to keep some stock level, that is called safety stock. So what is uncertainty of demand? That I no need to explain, you know what is uncertainty of demand. there will be a difference between your expected and actual demand is called forecast error. Okay. So, it is mainly depends on the buyer side. Another one is uncertainty of delivery. Okay, it depends on how long the lead time is going to be. Okay, if something goes wrong, say for example you are expecting within 10 days, if something goes wrong, you will get raw material in hand only 12th day. So, 2 days you have to maintain your business. Okay. So, for that purpose you have to keep your safety stock. This is called uncertainty of delivery. Another one is uncertainty of quantity. So, this depends on how many scraps or imperfect items the ordered quantity is going to contain. Okay, this is called uncertainty of quantity. We will see what is determination of safety stock. The level of safety stock is to be maintained depends on the various factors like cost of item in question, uncertainty in a demand, negative fall out of stock of these items, spoilage due to long storage. Okay. So, if it happened because of this factor, you may face some problem. So, to avoid that, you have to keep some level of safety stock. Okay. So, the optimum safety stocks is equal to maximum lead time in amount minus normal lead time in amount. That is the formula for optimum safety stock. Maximum lead time in terms of amount minus difference between normal lead time in amount. Okay. So, what is maximum lead time? The worst possible scenario occurs, that is called maximum lead time. Find out in consultation with the purchase department, or you can refer your past record. You will have a past experience. No? Based on that you have to fix what is your maximum lead time. Okay. If anything everything is goes wrong. Okay. So, normal lead time, what is normal lead time? Most expected lead time or the average lead time is called normal lead time. So, if you subtract both, you will get optimum safety stock. Okay. Say for example, if the maximum lead time is 13 days and your average lead time is 11.5 days, then you will get 1.5 days. A stock that lasts for 1.5 days is called optimum safety stock. Okay. Clear? So, this is maximum lead time is 13 days and your average lead time is say 11 days, and that the 2 days no you have to keep your stock. So, within that you have to keep some safety stock. So, that stock you can use for your production. Okay. In order, so it will not create any problem. So, safety stock is very important in manufacturing sector. Next one is disposal of obsolete or surplus material. So, you know what is the meaning of disposal? Obsolete material. Those material or equipment which are not damaged. Okay, the equipment or material, raw material which are not damaged and which have economic work but are no longer used for the company's operation due to change in production line. You have some raw material, you have some material, you have some equipment. It is not damaged, it is working in good condition, but you are not able to use for your company operation. Okay, because maybe a company production line, it may be a change or some lockdown is happened, some band is happened, some strike is happened, some unforeseen situation is happened. Okay, so by that time you are not able to use that material is called obsolete material. The term can be associated with equipment material, in the sense you can use equipment or stock, or you can say technique, etc. Okay. It is very difficult to predict when the technology will change leading to obsolete. The company should have sharp eye on the competition so that it can have more consciousness. Okay. So, it is very difficult to predict. Okay. So, the technology, if new technology comes, automatically the customer will move on to that technology, not to the outdated one. So, you have to watch your competitor activities also in order to maintain your business. Okay. Next one is cause for obsolescence. Adoption of standardization, that is lead to elimination of non-standard varieties. adoption of new technology, change in your production design, okay. Cannibalization means when a machines break down, it is sometimes rectified by using components of an identical machine which is already not functional, okay. So when it is breakdown, that time you can use some other machines to rectify the issues. It's a cannibalization. Faulty purchase, if the purchase are made in bulk so that they can last for a very long period of time, okay, that is called faulty purchase. If you purchase in a bulk order, if you may not use for your production, then it will be there in your warehouse only. So for a longer period of time it will be there, okay. So can be controlled, it can be controlled by FSN analysis. You know what is FSN analysis? We discussed in a previous lecture video for FSN analysis, fast moving product, slow moving product and non moving product, okay. Surplus material, okay, equipment which have no immediate use but had accumulated due to faulty planning, forecasting and purchasing. They have usage value in future, okay. Now immediately you are not using that material, okay, but it may be useful for your future, okay. So this is called surplus material. They are merely excess of what is in need. So easy to control compared to absolute, okay. Both the surplus and absolute material are in good conditions, okay. It will be in working condition, so can't may not be used immediately, it may be useful for future. Common causes for surplus and absolute material, okay. Over ordering, faulty planning, purchasing and forecasting, problem in forecasting, okay, and reduced production, drastic reduced in wastage, modification of your process, and fault in storekeeping and record keeping. So these are the cause for absolute and surplus material. They need to be disposed, that absolute and surplus material. We'll see. Keeping them is a costly affair, isn't it? So they need space because we have stock in hand, material, so many materials are available in your hand, so you have to keep it. So you need some special new places for that, and you have to keep some security person, current bill, water bill, everything you will get. Separate store you have to maintain, okay. More chance of pilferage means small steal may happen and damage may happen for your material, so you have to think over it, okay. They need to be disposed or not. Stages of disposal of absolute and surplus material. We'll see. Finding, periodic study must be carried out of all the items stocked or staying as inventory. Next one is recrimination. Alternative ways of using these items must be explored within the industries. Third one, so they if they cannot be used anywhere, then disposal act is carried out, okay. So these are the various stages. The priority in the process of disposal: explore possibility of sending in bulk, dispose to original supplier if they show interest, or preference may be given to buyer or vendor who have long term relationship with the company. You can return back, you can give back, you can get some amount, okay, if they are interested. Then think of others who may buy at best possible prices, okay. You can give, for reduced price, for certain discount you can give, and you can try to sell to the other buyer. If it cannot be pushed off at best possible price, sell at scrap value, okay. If it is not possible, dispose them of free of cost to someone who can use them, okay. Sometimes when distribution to employee, it may leads to a negative side effect, okay, ethical issue. So you have to be very careful when disposing this to your employee. Process of disposal of absolute and surplus material. So by negotiation, by auction and by tender. So, you can dispose your material in case if it is not required. Now, we will see material handling. Okay. So, how to do material handling? So, moving physical object from one place to another as part or component or sub assemblies, or you can say raw material, or you can say finished goods ready for shipment. How to handle this material? They are defined as the functions dealing with the preparation, placing and positioning of materials to facilitate their movement or storage. The moving of material from raw material to through production to ultimate consumers with the least expenditure of time, okay, effort, so as to produce maximum productive efficiency, okay, and lowering handling cost. So, you have to minimize this cost, okay, starting from the raw material to reach to your consumer. Salient salient principles of material handling. Okay, so the first one is principle related to planning. So, the planning principle, then you can say system principle, material flow principle, simplification principle and gravity principle. Planning principle: all handling activities must be properly planned. Example, use of same container throughout a handling process. System principle: plan a system integrating as many handling activity as it practical and coordinate full scope of operation. The third one, material flow principle: the plan and operation sequence and equipment arrangement optimizing material flow. Example, plan related work areas together. Okay, simplification principle: reduce or eliminate unnecessary movement. Then gravity principle: wherever practicable, utilize gravity to move material. So, you are moving your material from one place to the other place. You have to follow certain principle. So, how to handle your material, that you have to plan, and you have to plan how to integrate material. Okay. So, you have to coordinate full scope of operation, and the plan and operation sequence and equipment arrangement. Okay. So, area wise you have to plan. Okay. So, how to coordinate with the other area, that you have to plan before. Okay. Next one is how to eliminate unnecessary movement. Moving from one place to other place, first you are moving, if it want to reach to the last room, first keeping it in one place, then again you are moving to the other place, again it to reach to the last place, if you not properly handle, then it will cost increase. Okay. So, you have to simplify your unnecessary movement. Okay. And gravity principle: so, wherever it is applicable, you have to think over, you have to utilize your gravity to move your material. Okay. Space utilization principle: so, avoid keeping too much of inventory at a temporary stores. That is a space utilization. Okay. So, how to keep, how to arrange your product, your raw material in a systematic manner. So, that you have to think and decide. Okay. Unit size principle: so, increase the size, weight, quantity of the load handle at a time. Okay. Safety principle: it's a provide safety handling method, highlight handling hazards or dangerous zones in a manufacturing unit. The next one is equipment selection principle: consider all the aspect of the material to be handled and the method to be utilized in terms of the lowest overall cost. Okay. The last one is standardization principle. It is standardized method as well as the type and size of handling equipment. So, these are the principle you have to follow in the material handling. The next one is motion principle. It's a fixed minimum period for loading, unloading and other idleness. Idle time principle: It reduces unproductive time of both handling of equipment and manpower. Maintenance principle set up a regular maintenance schedule. Absolute principle is identify and replace obsolete material. Flexibility principle is a purchase equipment that can perform a variety of tasks, and lightweight principle is optimum for equipment that have less dead weight. The principle which is related to operation is control principle, capacity principle, and performance efficiency principle. The control principle is use material handling principle to improve production and inventory control. So material may be moved as per schedule. Capacity principle is a production capacity should be fully achieved. Performance efficiency means determine efficiency of handling performance in terms of expense per unit handled. Okay. So now we'll move on to the storekeeping. Now storekeeping, it's a custody of all material stock in stores for which storekeeper is the trustee. Okay. Store management principles responsible for proper receipt, custody and issue of material. What is the function of store department? So they will receive material and check and to correctly position all the material and supplies within the stores and maintain stock safety and handling in good condition, whether it is a good condition or not. So issue material only on requisition by authorized person, maintain up to date record and make sure the store is clean and in good working condition. Optimum utilization of store place, initial process of purchasing at the right time and coordinate and cooperate with various department like purchase and production department. So these are the functions of store department. So now we'll move on to the location of stores. Minimize total handling cost and other costs related to store operation. Okay, the location should be according to the nature and value of material to be stored, and raw material are stored needed to the first operation, in process material close to the next operation, and finished goods near the shipping area. So you have to select the particular location. So raw material should be nearby your production department, and in process material should be the next operation, and then finished goods near the shipping area. So these are the list of available store space. So what are the stores places there? Okay, platform will be there, floor space and rack, shelves, bins, trays, drums, barrels. So they can be stored as a unit, or it can be row wise or section wise or at higher. Stock verifications. Okay, so that annual physical verification. So stock verification is very important. Every annually you have to verify your stock. So you have to appoint one person, and they will go to the store and they will verify how many products are available and how much they have to order, whether they kept it properly or not, how much loss they incurred during the particular year. So verification officer individually or it may be in a team verifies stocks in the stores once in a year and checking all the relevant documents like bin card, stores ledgers, etc. So after verification, a list consists of storage, damage, surplus is given to the management, and during verification the stores won't be functioning. Okay, so it may take 1 week time or some depends upon the organization level. Perpetual inventory control. So continuous check throughout the year in such a way that each item is checked at least once in a year. A method of recording store balance after every receipt and issue to facilitate regular checking and to obviate closing down for stock taking. Priority given to A item, then it's to B item, and last is C item. So incidentally helps a continuous stock taking. Okay. So what is error in stores? So clerical mistakes and improper storage, pilferage, some small items, maybe some if anybody have taken, leakage, careless handling and handling loss. Okay, so these are the error. And now let's move on to the store layout. The section adjacent to store should be kept reserved for receipt of material and for its inspection before storage. minimize handling and transportation of material in such a way that you have to arrange your material properly. Okay, so optimum utilization of floor place and height. So you can, if possible, you can keep one by one, or you have to think, you have, based on your material, you have to utilize your floor space. Shelves, racks, if it is required, you have to purchase and keep it. You have to clean it um, every weekly. You can clean it, or if lubrication is required, so if AC is required, so you have to check all those things. Okay, so this and all is coming under store layout. Okay. Based on your types of material, you have to keep your store. Store space should be clearly marked to ensure easy and quick identification. Storage space should be protected against waste, damage, pilferage. So if it is required, you can keep a camera here and there. You can check what is going on inside the stores. Place for storing material based on material characteristics. Okay, layout should be such that it can make use of modern material handling equipment. Okay, what kind of equipment is required, like truck is required, conveyor is required, lift is required. So based on your material, you have to purchase material handling equipments also. Storekeeper is not compelled to put newly arrived material on the top of the old material. So this arrangement is very important. Okay, so 20 to 20% due space in each position of the stores for further expansion. Okay, you have to keep some space. Okay, this is called a record. We have bin card and store ledger. Okay, what is bin card? The document that record the exact quantity of material available in the stores at a given time. Okay, so it's a kind of record. So you have to maintain the how much quantity material is available in the store. Okay, for each material a separate bin card is maintained. Okay, so it is a kind of one card, how much in that particular area, how much quantity is available, how much they took, how much it is remained, how much they have to order. So everything will be there in the particular card. Okay, so it is prepared by the storekeeper, record of quantity only. Okay, entry made immediately after each transactions. If you took some material, you have to make it entry. Okay, so in order to avoid out of stock. What is ledger? Okay, identical to bin card, but here the money value is also shown. So there it's only the quantity, here money value will be added here. Okay, entries are made periodically and prepared by the accounts department and outside stores. It's not inside stores. Okay, advantage of record. So efficiency of economy. Okay, settlement of disputes with credit, debit, insurance, etc., and check against understocking and overstocking. So a record is a document, no? So you can comes to know how much you stocked, whether it is overstocked or understocked. So everything will be there. The credit, debit, what is the insurance, how much you spend. So it is an effective way of material handling. Okay, I hope you understand this lecture video. Thank you.